Lightning like Steve McQueen. I'm in the fast lane when the light turns green. And I built tough, I ain't nothing but grit. Cause I made rugged blood, sweat, and spit. Yeah, like a horse I fly. Better push yourself in for a bumpy ride. I like to play hard, but I work harder. And I weather the storm cause I'm built stronger.
Hey guys, before we jump into the episode, I wanted to let you know it is brought to you by Denim. As a business owner myself, I personally know the importance of financial stability and preserving cash flow to help navigate through any freight market. With Denim's comprehensive service offering, you now have an all-in-one financial partner whose platform includes factoring, payments, freight audit, document collection management, and analytics, which help keep your business financially healthy and increase your team's time to focus on revenue-producing activities. You can also take advantage of Denim's free credit check, which they perform on all of your customers. And Denim will proactively reach out to you if they spot any signs of credit deterioration. Finally, Denim always pays your carriers first. As a broker, this is imperative to preserving your credit score in the market, which ultimately helps you become a broker of choice to your carrier partners. Are you ready to learn more? Visit denim.com to schedule a demo today. Just do me a favor and let them know that the Freight Coach sent you. This episode is brought to you by SPI Logistics, the premier freight agent logistics firm in North America. For over 40 years, SPI has been diligently building the most successful freight agent network to provide first-class relationships for our shippers, receivers, and carrier partners. We are more than another transportation network. We are a dedicated team of professionals united by one singular purpose, and that is to expedite our agents' success. All of our agents are set up for success on day one, as they are provided with a full suite of support staff that is ready to assist them with everything from after-hours emergencies to financial and administrative needs on a no-fee basis. This way, you can focus on continuing to grow your business. There is no financial risk to start, and you have the ability to earn up to 75% in commissions. If you are looking to take control of your financial future and build your business with the backing of one of the most successful logistics firms in North America, visit www.spi3pl.com to learn more. Do me a favor and let them know that the Freight Coach sent you. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. We are live. It is the Freight Coach Podcast, the top podcast in transportation, coming to you guys every single weekday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central, to break down some industry headlines. But most importantly, you guys provide some actual insight into what you can do with all of this information. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. This is the real side of freight, ladies and gentlemen. And I say that before every single show. And what I mean by that is I only speak with transportation professionals, because at the end of the day, you guys, I want to talk to the right individuals who have done what you're looking to do or who are currently doing what you're trying to achieve. So you can take that information, apply it, utilize it, and see a meaningful difference in your business and your life. All right, I got a very special guest. I'm just going to bring him up right away here, you guys. I have had him on the show in the past, and seeing what meeting him in person a couple of times and what his family has done to build up their fleet out there. And I wanted to bring him on to talk about what he's experiencing in his company and what's going on in the industry and where things are. So I got my friend Harman Cheema with Cheema Freightlines on the show. So Harman, thank you so much for joining me.
Hey Chris, thanks for having me again.
No, man, it's a pleasure, dude. It's been a while. We text back and forth every once in a while. We stay in contact, and it's I always appreciate your time and your perspective on things, and especially knowing your family's history and building up your guys' company and everything out there, man. So that grit and resilience it's very evident out there.
Thank you.
So what's new, man? What's been going on? Let's get everybody caught up with Cheema, because you guys are making moves out there. I will say that I'm about to start snapping you photos every time I see a Cheema truck out here on the 202 in Arizona.
I would say, a lot of people have been asking me that lately, and I just the one thing I keep saying is we're fighting the trucking fight right now, right? Mm-hmm. And so yeah, we're doing good. We're the largest we've ever been as a fleet and as a brokerage. As well ever. So, but that means we need the most amount of loads we've ever needed, the most amount of just freight and morale and everything to keep everybody boosted right now through all of it, right? Because it is a fight right now in the industry, and there's no secrets there. You can read them online. You can check out the public companies. You can do all that. I mean, we're all kind of fighting the same fight here, and with each other, all of the above, right? So, yeah. But as far as Cheema goes, yeah, we're kicking butt. I think we're going to be, I'm confident we're going to be a step above a lot of folks when we come out of this freight recession or whatever you want to call it nowadays, right?
Mhm.
But we're taking names and we're building our team. That's what we've been focused on: training, building the team, getting some systems in place, whether it's phone systems or just better technology, and get ready, get ready for the opportunity and just kick ass. Don't wait for it and then start working on it. So that's what we've been working on at Shima.
Is that something that now that you're kind of attacking that, you wish you would have done, a few years ago to kind of prepare for that stuff? Because I think like it's always easy to sit back and Monday morning quarterback a lot of these situations that go on in the world, right? But it's like, when you're in the actual trenches trying to make those decisions, I don't think a lot of people actually understand that the majority of the time you're literally just trying to fight to survive. And especially when you own as many assets as you guys do, and you guys are as big as that you guys are, like it is, it's a constant battle, right? Like there's no one time where I'm sure, I mean, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, where you can sit back or your leadership team can sit back and be like, damn, we're in such a great place right now. We have nothing to worry about.
Yeah, I think one thing I definitely learned. So we've been in business 18 years now, and we're just approaching 500 company trucks, 2,000 trailers. We got some owner operators. We got a brokers that's doing about 3,000 to 3,500 loads a month, and
Mhm.
everybody's fighting to get bigger, right? Because that's what we've been doing. That's the culture we've built. But at the same time, what I've learned over the last few years, especially this year, I think this has been the toughest year for me, just because of, I mean, you work your ass off for tiny margins or no margins. It's like, man, what's the reward? And then, just the economical doom and gloom of the world, right? That puts people down in a way. And so it's like, man, all I can do right now is just keep the morale up, keep the rallying up, and just tell people, show the light at the end of the tunnel as much as I can. Well, I don't have a crystal ball either, right? So kind of fighting that. But at the same time, what I've learned is you can't be in trucking and make it like your passive income. It's not real estate, right? You got to be 110% in, whether it's trucking or brokerage or logistics, from an ownership standpoint. I think that's why some of the big private equities or the big passive owners don't do so well, and you see their results and then they exit, because this isn't a game of just buy it and hopefully it'll appreciate. There's no appreciating here. Everything's a depreciation, right? So got to be 110% in, Chris. That's what I've learned.
And I see that, right? And I think that has kind of been almost glamorized. And this isn't necessarily a trucking thing. I think that this is almost like entrepreneurship as a whole. Like, oh, passive income this and passive income that. And I know somebody's gonna be like, oh, well, multiple seven streams of yada yada yada. But I'm like, anybody who out there, like a lot of the guys that I follow who have built real things, they're like, yes, I do have multiple streams of income now, but for the first 15 years, I had
Right.
one. I had my one business and then we diversified. Where I think a lot of people get in, they're like, oh, I'm going to passively do 7 different things. And like you're just half-assing everything. And that's honestly, man, that's something that I've been really battling with here in 2024 is that exact term, half-assing things, because it's like I got to the point where I feel like I was stretched too thin. I wasn't able to fully commit to things at the level that I want to. So it's like, man, I had to really adopt my new favorite word in the English language, which is no. No, I can't. No, I can't do that. And it's really tough when you go and build something from day one, dollar one. Because in the back of my mind, Harman, all times it goes back to when I was in my bedroom when I first started doing everything. I go back to that, man, when nobody wanted to talk to me, nobody wanted to give me the time of day. And now that things are kind of up and running and the brand is what it is, and like it's a lot different than what it was. It's very hard, but I also need to keep my eye on the prize here because, like, dude, you're right. This isn't a passive thing, man. You got to really be fully invested in this 24/7, 365.
Yeah, hell yeah. And I hope, I know we're talking about kind of the state of the business a little bit today, but I hope there's some motivation for a lot of the entrepreneurs that are in this business as well to just, hey, we're in August, we're almost in, I mean, we're in September in a few days here. We've
Mhm.
always almost made it through this year. The next year is going to be bright. We got to make it brighter, and we got to work together to just help the industry, and let's keep going, right? Rally your teams and get them pumped up. And if you're down, right, everybody looks up to leadership, and if
Mhm.
they're feeling the blues, then what's that going to do to the rest of your team, right? I was talking to a friend of mine earlier, before we got on this call, and he was kind of feeling the same way. He's in a different industry, and I pumped him up, and I was like, dude, look. He's like, man, I just want a Porsche one day, and I was like, you gotta aim for the black jet, man. That should be the goal.
Oh yeah.
because I've been talking to I got a customer that's in the healthcare space, and they make a lot of medical products, and they've just been killing it, right? And they are looking forward to the next 15, 20 years. And I'm like, why? He goes, well, 'cause that's when all the baby boomers are going to get old. And I'm
Mhm.
like, in my mind, I'm like, perfect, because how many billionaires are baby boomers right now? And there's new billionaire entries are gonna come in, and I want to make sure I want to be one of those guys and take that over, right?
Dude, I'm right there with you, man. Like I got a Gulfstream G7 matte black with orange hashtag the freight coach on the side of it in my vision, man. That's literally, it's funny you bring that up because it's the truth, man. Like I think like set extremely lofty goals no matter what, but then don't overlook what you have to do on the day to day. It's funny, because the book behind you there is I'm a major fan of Brad Jacobs. I'm a fan
Same.
of that book. Like I see I look at it as the way that, you see a guy like him who, seemingly built up everything by him. I don't want to say himself, because he talks about teams and systems and everything, and there are a lot, but like he started with nothing essentially. And if he was able to do it, and like what we're going through right now, ultimately, this isn't an anomaly. This isn't like the first time there's been
Right.
challenging times and and everything else. And I think that it's so easy to kind of get caught up in it. And we all do, right? We're all human beings. But like at the end of the day, it's like, all right, you just gotta, like when things are really in those challenging moments for me, it's like, man, I just look at the task in front of me, the next hour of my day, and I'm just like, all right, I just got to execute on that. And if I do that every single day, it's those small little incremental bumps every single time. But like someone's going to come out of this a winner, a major winner. And then you're going to look back in 5 years and be like, 2020 to 2024, that is the period that made me.
That's right. That's right.
So,
That's what makes us stronger, right?
dude, I agree, man. So, like, how are things from, because I think you see a lot of, the publicly traded, companies in freight, their results. You see a lot of brokers out there, and there's always that brokers take all the money nonsense, and and everything else
I
that
thought
goes
that was
on.
true.
Yeah, no, it is, man. Yeah, we just print money and take 80% margins, and that's just how it's done. But how are you approaching things right now, especially because as we are coming up into the end of 2024, bid season is going to be upon us. It's probably already started with some companies that are out there. How do you guys approach that?
So the positive news is we're starting to see some momentum in certain markets, right? I spent the last 2 weeks with our VP of Sales, Lars, who I think he's been on your show as well. So we spent the last couple weeks on the road. First, Chris, this props to you for the motivation. Spent the last 2 weeks on the road, getting up, working out every morning, cutting the drinks, cutting the bullshit, and then going and rocking it away, right? And so we've had some good momentum. We met a lot of customers, existing customers, some new ones. While we were on the road, we were still getting emails for requests of things that are moving around, or carriers or brokers falling off of lanes, which is kind of the first sign of improvement, right? And so we picked up some stuff with some big customers that we've been chasing for a while at better rates. And so that's the first step. So I'm very bullish on that, but we got to be careful because it's not busy everywhere. It's only busy in certain markets, and it
Yeah.
could be busy because of certain things, right? So all in all, I think this RFP cycle that just actually already started, we're starting to see some RFPs come through now. And last RFP cycle was hell for me. We did almost 200 something RFPs,
Mhm.
and we needed freight, right? We just needed to bring it all in, and then we'll kind of figure it out. And that was kind of the model there. And but this year we're going to get very strategic on who we're partnering with and try to build more density with some of the core and strategic customers. But for us, I'm still seeing not seeing a lot of motivation for increases. We need the increases, but we're definitely not going backwards. And that's made that very clear to our customers. We just can't, right? We're gonna have to start walking away from business. I know big companies have been doing that this year, but I think they know that. And the message from the last couple of weeks with some of my customers was they kind of know that, and they're starting to prepare into next year, into early next year, that there's going to be some increases, because at the end of the day, if our costs are 220 a mile is what A-Tree put out, which is kind of true where a lot of companies are running, we can't be operating at $2 a mile, right? It's just not. How long can we do that?
Yeah. And that, that's really interesting. So, you're talking about, being more strategic in your business approach here and your business development approach. Are you guys only dry vans, or do you guys have any other equipment on your guys' fleet?
So we're only dry van. Even on
Mhm,
our brokerage, we're primarily dry van. We do a little bit of flatbed, but
mhm.
mostly just dry van. But we're gonna probably try to open into another mode into our on our brokerage offering at least, right? Maybe refrigerated or something to get our feet wet in there a little bit. But we're still gonna focus on the core, what we know the best, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, we wanna on the brokerage side, we want to expand into more geography. On the truck side, we want to continue to build the density on some of the weaker lanes we have and just continue to build that. But don't really plan on adding assets at this moment. Gonna kind of fine tune what we're doing today
Mhm.
and just get them up. There's still a lot of trucks that are underperformers on my fleet that we need to continue to move up and get them more miles.
How do you assess an underperforming unit on your fleet then? Are you looking at it, is it more driver centric? Is it load volume centric where you got to get out there and pound the pavement and get more customers? Is that what you mean by that?
It's a little bit of both. So I get my green bar report printed to me every Monday, and I'm just kidding. It comes on the email. It should, but and it basically I have a thing that says any trucks under 2,300 miles I want on the report, and then I will send it to the directors of the areas that are in charge of those and say, hey, why, and they go through and just say, okay, this guy was off, this guy's this, and we're constantly working every week to drive that number of unproductive or the number of under 2,300-mile trucks down, right? And then we know we're improving. So that's what we started doing. And with that, it's been a network, right? It's been a network change, and it's very hard to develop and develop new networks or make networks strong when the market is busy here, slow here, busy here, slow here. And it feels like every week it's up and down. And that's the biggest struggle that we've been facing all year. And bringing on new business when it's slow here is going to be very difficult. When it's busy here, you can start picking that up, right?
Mhm. Are you guys more regionally focused with your assets, or do you guys kind of run all, the lower 48? Because that's one thing that I see out there a lot in the owner operator community and the smaller fleet communities is they're like, oh, we'll run anywhere as long as it pays. Did you guys do that at one point and gravitate away from that, or have you guys always been regionally focused?
So we have always been regionally focused. We visited a big customer last week, and we don't do business with them, but we've been selling them for a while now and trying to and this big national retailer, right? And it was cool to hear that because we've been working on this for 5 or 6 years. They were like, "Hey, when we think of I-5, we think of Chima, even though you don't do any business with us." So that was our first region was develop I-5. Now, if you drive I-5 between Washington to San Diego or Southern California, you will see a Chima truck within a few minutes of each other, and that's the density we built. And so the next steps are, Arizona's huge for us as well. You probably see trucks down there all the time. But we're primarily the 8 Western states and into the San Antonio and Dallas market as well. So we're kind of doing this funky thing right now.
Mhm.
But just I like to be a jack of. I don't want to be a jack of all trades, a master of none, right? I want to master lanes before we continue to move everywhere, and it keeps the trucks close, keeps the drivers close to get them home. And if something goes wrong, there's a truck within an hour or 20 minutes of each other. So that's
Mhm.
kind of been the strategy.
So are you guys applying that in your brokerage as well? Are you taking that same strategy, or is it a different strategy inside of your brokerage? Are you guys kind of calling everywhere?
Um, Not everywhere because we're calling on the markets we know.
Okay.
So definitely overlap our truck line market because we know it's second nature and we know the carriers that are here that we can, you got a load for me. I know exactly who to call and I can probably get it covered within a few minutes, right? So that's the bigger strategy. But as we geographically develop into new areas, we want to get really good and get our reps that know those markets. If it's Kansas City, Texas, or wherever in the Midwest, just get really good at those lanes and build the density there.
Mhm. Now, would you recommend fleets and even owner operators, we'll go back. Would you recommend that they adopt more of that strategy into building their business? Do you think that would help them get more direct customers? Because, again, and I'm kind of bringing in the whole people hate brokers, right?
Right.
And, but it's also, well, if you want direct freight, how do I go about it? That's probably a question that I get from a lot of owner operators and small trucking companies all the time is, hey, like I've tried to get direct customers, but I'm too small. Nobody wants to work with me. Do you think that they stick to that right now? Would you recommend that?
I think it's a fine line. Right now, it's get any customer you can, right? Whether even if it's a broker that can help pay the bills. But I think what's, for I can speak for myself and what was successful for us is we teamed up with some bigger fleets that had brokerage divisions, that have power only divisions, and just built good relationships with them, right? We knew they were going to make, I don't know, 10, 15, 20% margin, 18% margin, whatever, right? They're going to make it, but they typically have better paying freight because it's kind of like our strategy, right? Our overflow of our fleet is going to be better than the one-off spot stuff, right? And so we built some consistency around that, and I think that's good. I'm seeing that. I'm seeing a lot more people pulling Warner trailers and US Express trailers and all these bigger power only networks now, right? Because I think they should totally leverage those, but at the same time, don't leave when the market goes crazy. Build those relationships and keep working on them. And at the end of the day, I think customers, they say less brokers, they say all those things, but they want to consolidate providers. They don't want to have 350, 400 providers. They want to have 50 to 100 good ones. And,
Mhm.
they'll allow companies like us to say, hey, yeah, you can use your brokerage arm when you need to, or you can use a power only solution, or you can use your trucks once we build that relationship. So for owner operators, I would just say, you can continue to work on the direct freight, but it's going to be very tough, especially if you're going for the big shippers. But if you got some smaller mom and pop or medium sized ones that you can see, focus on the area that you can come back to and service them over and over, right? With a single truck, how many times can you possibly load for that shipper, right? So you got to be cautious of that. If you're over here in Pennsylvania and the shipper's in California, then how many times are you going to make it back to California that month to do another load for them? And is it worth their while to give you 2 loads a month versus they can give somebody 10 or 15 a week, right?
Yeah, I think that's it's a big challenge and balance for I think a lot of providers out there, whether you're a broker or a carrier, because it's like, a lot of the large enterprise shippers, as you know, I mean, you are a formidable fleet, man. And you guys, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, are not, like you said, you were prospecting somebody for 5 years and you're not working with them. So you guys probably deal with a lot of the same rejections as everybody else does. It doesn't
Oh yeah,
matter if you have 500 trucks, right? Like it doesn't matter that, I mean, what do you guys have? Probably 1,000 trailers at least?
2000.
2,000, yeah.
Yeah.
So you got 500 trucks and 2,000 trailers, and you still get hit with, we're not adding anybody to our network, right?
Yep. Yep.
But that doesn't deter you or your sales staff from going out there and trying to continue to develop business, because in my mind, man, it's only a matter of time, right? Like it's only a matter of time. And as a business owner, I want everybody to know what I do, right? Like ultimately, I want everybody to know what I do, especially here in Arizona, especially in every single market that we're in, right? Because like, dude, I've been fortunate to get a couple of customers off of this podcast, right? So it's like there's other parts of the country, and we're trying to be as strategic as possible as we're trying to build it up. But again, like we're in that phase of building where we got a couple of like really core customers that give us a lot of our volume, but like we can't stop selling, like we got to
Right.
continue to go out there. But the door gets shut a lot. But like I'm finding out there right now that people are more open to quality conversations than I think a lot of people are really getting out there. And I think it always boils down to doing your homework on the person that you're calling. So how do you guys prepare for that as you're going out there and prospecting new shippers?
So it's gotten a lot easier as the brand has gotten bigger, right? So that definitely helps. We're getting a lot more. Hey, yeah, let's talk. We don't have an opportunity today, but we definitely want to hear what you guys are doing. And we're okay. I love this part, Chris. Over my last couple trips, one customer told me, "Hey, I saw you on LinkedIn and doing this, and you guys are making a lot of noise on LinkedIn or on YouTube or online, right, on social media." But I was like, and then I went back. I told Lars, I was like, this guy doesn't like any of my posts. He doesn't like any of this stuff. So shippers are always watching, and I don't blame them why they're not doing that, right? Because it's gonna be like a swarm of bees after them. But I was like, people are watching, right? We got to keep doing what we're doing. Sales and marketing are, marketing is sales and sales is marketing, right?
Yeah.
So you got to keep doing that. And you may not be able to crack the code today, but you can only sell something when there's a need for that product, right? I'm not going to go buy something today if I don't need it, but when I need it, if you're still there, I'm going to look at it, right? So
Yeah.
there's no different, nothing's different about that in our space as well, right? So just
Yeah.
got to stay after it and stay in front of them.
And I think that you almost need to have the mentality is like, I mean, you're not going to set up everybody you talk to, right? But like
Right.
you need to and like I think business development people only think closing, making money. They've missed the second half of that term, development. Like you have to develop customers. And there is no shortage of people that are out there calling. I mean, dude, every time I call somebody, or not every single time. I get called out because apparently I use too many blanket statements. But the reality is, when I'm calling and when I'm speaking to people, like I hear this very often. Hey man, you're like the seventh one to call us today, right? Like call us back in a couple and we're good. Or, we've been working with the same provider for 10 years. We're not going to add you, and everything else. So it's like, you get beat down over that. But again, man, like I've just adopted the mindset where it's like, man, I'm one phone call away. I'm one introduction away. I'm one meet away from changing my life with anybody, right? And I think that, you have to approach it like that in any market. And I think that what a lot of people need to understand, though, most importantly, is how they're operating right now, whether it's business development, fiscally, budgetary, all of that. That's how you have to operate when things are good, because otherwise you get to that point where you're reckless in your approach. And I've learned that over the last couple of years, man. When revenue's up, fuck, you think you are king shit.
Yeah.
And you spend at a higher level, and then reality sinks in and you're like, fuck, I'm overextended. And then you got to make a bunch of cuts and everything. So I think it's good to go through that and make those changes, because otherwise you'd never know. But I think that's how you have to approach things, because in my opinion, man, you're never good in business. You never have enough customers or enough revenue.
Yeah, and that's something we've definitely focused on, was staying disciplined on that. And some of our competitors didn't, and they've kind of gone away or they've shrunk big time, and we see that, right? So, but we got to stay focused and continue to go down that road. But at the end of the day, it's a numbers game, right, Chris? Like you got to be talking to 100 different people all the time to break into 4 or 5 or 3, right? And so it's just a numbers game, and don't forget about the other 80 that you talked to that were kind of potentially hot, or that you had a good conversation with. You got to like stay in front of them, right? And even if it's just and I hate the following up here, don't do that crap, right? Just stay real and say, hey, how's it going, what's going on, right? Those things. So
Yeah, dude, I just try and keep it as simple as I possibly can. And, because mainly this is just who I am as an individual, right? Like I am just calling to introduce myself. And I'm just searching for a yes. I feel like as a business development rep, I'm just searching for a yes. And it might not be a yes today, but I'm just like, oh, you work with brokers? You do full truckload? Perfect. We'll talk later then, and I'm trying to read the conversation. And then again, you build that up. And I think that most people need to get away from that. Oh, just following up, or, hey, how's the weather out here and stuff.
yeah.
Like, I hate that stuff. And it's super awkward. And again, I look at it as a lot of the conversations that I'm having with people at these stages, I'm throwing them off in the middle of their workday. I don't want to waste their time. Just like for me, when I'm in the zone, when I'm at my workstation, man, when I'm out here doing I don't want my time wasted either. So, again, I'm not trying to make anybody sound more important than the next, but dude, I got a family to feed. You got a family to feed. You got a business to run. Time is everything. And you got to go in there and you got to hit them and with the right information. And then if it's not there, boom, you got to move on. And I think like that's the mentality. At least that's what I'm working through and trying to, develop as I'm trying to build my business up.
Yeah, and I think one thing I always tell my sales reps, or even others that I'm talking to that I'm friends with, is no offense on this statement that I'm about to say, but at the end of the day, when we were coming up, and I'm sure you're in the same boat, Chris, is if we didn't sell, we didn't eat. There is no revenue coming in. There is no base salary. There is none of that. Like you got to go hunt or to eat. Simple as that, right? So then I was turning every rock over to see, okay, who makes this, writing them down at night or whenever, and then going and following up and calling to get in. And I had no idea. And guess what? We didn't have freaking LinkedIn in 2006. It just came out right after that. And it's made it so easy to see who's where. We were calling people. We're reaching out to the city chamber of commerces to get contacts, like the old school way, which I still do that and it still works sometimes. But like when LinkedIn came out, I was like, holy crap, this directory of, even though it doesn't have emails and numbers, but I know who to call now versus just fishing in the dark or shooting, darts in the dark to figure out who to get to, right?
Yeah. And I think that, I'm just like, that's my mentality, man. Like I've been self-employed now for over 4 years, right? So like, I don't have a salary. I don't have, it's me. It's dollar in, dollar out. It's hunt. It's kill or be killed. Essentially, is what it boils down to, and that's the way that I approach it, and that's the level of urgency that I bring in intensity that I try and bring every single day with it. Because like I view it like this, and I think that a lot of small businesses are in this boat, whether they want to admit it or not. I think most small businesses, and hell, probably even most established businesses, are realistically 30 days from running out of cash every month. So it's like every time I come in, on the first of the month or whatever that is, man, I'm like, all right, I'm 30 days away from being broke. I'm like, I got to go out there. I got to make shit happen. So it's like when I see people comment, like, how do I show up every single day and do podcasts? This is how I support my family. I take this shit very seriously.
Yeah.
So it's like, and then what else am I going to do? Sit at home? It's like, fuck that, dude.
Yeah, that's right. And it's so easy to start falling on the other side and get all, doomy and gloomy, right? Just got to snap out of it and let's go, right? Rally it up.
Dude, and that's exactly it. And that's why I do not pay attention to industry headlines very much anymore because of that. Because I started to realize a pattern out there. And again, like, I get it, clicks get, revenue and everything else. But like, I'm like, man, I can't pay attention to this shit, man. I got a family to feed. Like, if I paid attention to every headline out there, whether it's industry or mainstream media, dude, I might as well crawl in a fucking hole,
Right.
because there's no light at the end of the tunnel if you get too far into it. But
That's
I'm
right.
like, man, I just try and minimize as many distractions as possible and lock in. And then, some days are really good. Some days are not so good, but I'm going to show up tomorrow. And, I got the rest of the day today too, but like, I'm going to show up, I'm going to put the work in.
That's right. And, one thing I want to make sure I point out is, when you're hunting, you got to hunt. And when you're thinking about calling somebody, pick up the phone and call them. Don't think. Pick up the phone and figure it out, because while you're figuring out, you're thinking about it, Brad Jacobs' team at RXO is already calling them, right? Whatever, right? So your competition's already calling. So pick up the damn phone and make those calls, or figure out who the email is and just get in front of them, fly over, whatever it takes, right? Make it happen.
Dude, I love it. I'm right there with you, man. I'm jacked up and I'm ready to go. I was actually making calls before this call, before our podcast today, because I'm like, I got to get fucking in the zone for this stuff, man. So I rocked out a couple before, and no, man, I'm going to do that. And I'm going to make some more calls. And I got some site visits lined up here locally in Phoenix today as well. And I'm going to, just going to get out there and try and make it happen. All you got to do is shake more hands, right?
That's right.
Man, Harman, that's already, I got to get you back on, man. That was 30. I feel like we could go for another 2 hours here. If you guys are hiring, or if you guys have any announcements, drop them in there right now. How does anybody reach out to you guys to find out more?
Find us on LinkedIn, send me a message, send Lars a message. We're looking for hunters, just like everybody else. We are looking for the people that are serious, that want to make a lot of money, that want to blow this thing up, right? It's slow right now. You're not going to make a lot of you're not going to get a lot of customers just yet, but we got to get ready, and we got to get, dialed in to take it over. So that's what we're looking for.
Harman, thank you so much for reaching out. If you guys can't find Harman or Lars or anybody at Cheema, just hit me up. I'll gladly put you guys in contact with my friends over there. But that's going to be it for today, ladies and gentlemen. We will be back tomorrow. We got another guest coming on. It's our monthly Financial Friday segment that we have over at My Friends with Den. And we're going to teach you guys about another thing about how to improve the financial health of your business and how to prepare for it in those times. But as always, if you guys got value in what you heard, subscribe to the show, you guys. Share it out there to your network, because if you see value, your network's going to see value as well. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys, and we'll be talking to you soon.